Hello, good evening. How are we all? How are we all doing for those of you that are in lockdown? How are you feeling? My name's June. Welcome. Thank you so much for anyone who's jumping on. If anyone is on live, say hello. If anyone's watching this on replay later on, let me know that you've been here. Would love to give you some love. Hello, I think that might be Jessica. I just saw the little face do a love heart, but I'm not sure. Hi, Bree, so nice to see you. Thanks for jumping on. Oh, Kelly, hi, Kelly. I can see Dom is on too. If you're trying to hide there, Dom, did you manage to get away from Survivor for a moment? Hi, Candy. Oh, so good to see you guys. If you don't know me, hi, Kerry. This is my group in the Enchantress Circle. I started it because I guess after Big Awakening, hi Lee, she made it. I wanted to create a safe space for other people to be able to come and learn and meet with other people who are into all the spiritual and woo-woo things, and for other people who find this stuff fun. So created the Enchantress Circle, and I was lucky enough to have some beautiful other spiritual mentors who are much further along in the journey than I am, who have come in to help as well. So there are so many amazing people in here. I'm so grateful to have you all. So thank you. If you would like to find me on Instagram, I have just started doing readings. When I say just started, on the forefront for just over a month, but in the closet readings probably for 3 or 4 months. Yeah, it took me a little while to step out. But you can find me at JuneMac_. Oh, thank you so much, Bree. That's so lovely. Oh, thank you, Kelly. This picture, actually, I think you can see. Oh, yeah, boobies. This is actually a self-portrait of my husband's auntie. She's an artist, obviously, and yeah, pretty well-known artist. And this picture, we used to have a cafe, for anyone that knows Melbourne in Healesville, and this used to be up in the cafe, and she had to paint over the booby bits because her nipples were out. So that's like a bit of a fresher paint there. Hi, Emma, so good to see you on. You can also find me at community_collabs on Instagram, or community collabs with June Mac on Facebook. So I thank you so much for everyone who's jumping on. I wanted to do this live tonight. I booked it in a little while ago, sort of when I first started doing readings, because I just had so many people asking questions about spirit guides or guides and not really knowing where to get information from, and then also spending a lot of time, hi Liz, hi Megan, so nice to see you. I was just thinking about you, Megan. That sounds weird, but in a way that I was excited for your sound bowl healing, which is next Tuesday at 8 o'clock for anyone who would love a free little beautiful healing. Megan will be doing that next Tuesday. Now I've forgotten what I was speaking about. Yeah, so had people when I first would start onto the reading and not really understanding or knowing much about like where, you know, guides are from or who they are and all that type of stuff. So I wanted to just explain it from my point of view, because this is just my point of view. There's probably people who are a lot further along in the journey than me who yeah, we'll probably have more to add. This is just, I purposely didn't do any research or anything before this as well, because I didn't want to cloud sort of what I believe. And then also things that I've learned from my spiritual mentors too. And I guess the first thing that I wanted to say is, like, people who are asking or wondering why you would want to connect with your spirit guides or why it's something that you would want to do. From my point of view, it's probably because when you start to actually connect with them, your life just becomes more abundant. Not like, I'm not talking money wise, I'm talking like in every way. And if you need that little, you know, if you're looking for self-love or looking for direction, they know it all. They see the best version of you. your life, they know what you're capable of. Your life just becomes better in every way. I've not heard anyone yet say that they have started to connect with their spirit guides and have regretted it at all. They just know how amazing you are, how much potential that you have, and yeah, where is the best direction or what your purpose is here, and they're here to remind you of that and to help you navigate to actually get there, to get to that, to live out your purpose. And I guess when you start moving towards living your purpose and understand or remember a little bit more what you are here to do, your life just becomes so much more rich and content and fulfilled. And I also wanted, you know, for people who haven't had a reading before, to let you know that even if it's not a reading with me, if it's with somebody else in this group, the women that I know in this group who do readings, that it's not anything scary. And well, not from the people who I know that are in this group or for myself, it's nothing of anything negative. It might be the worst thing, because I've had people think that these, you know, that psychics still, you know, tell you something that terrible is about to happen. And from my point of view, never in my readings, and I know many other women in here as well are in the same boat. And that's because I always set the intention of only passing on messages that you need to hear and that you are ready to hear. And I set that intention before every reading, and so far it seems to be working for me. People tend to want readings, I suppose, if they're feeling lost and really haven't figured out how to align with what their actual purpose is. And that's where I guess connecting with your guides can really help you with that, because they know the way actually Kasia Burke, who is one of my spiritual mentors, describes it as in, you know, your life is like walking on this path in a valley, and your guides are kind of like up at the top of the mountains, and they can see where it is that you need to get to and sort of try to give you these messages to let you know which is the best way to get there. And when you have a reading, I suppose, they're going to give you their two bobs of to which is the best way to get there, but you also have to do the work. You also have to put in and do the action. It's not just going to happen on its own. You have to take responsibility as well, because humans have free will and free choice, and you can pick either way. Hello, Sandra. Hi, Tash. So nice to see you on. Thanks for joining me. So from my point of view, well, not from my point of view. I think for anyone who does believe in spirit guides, you probably know that every one of us has them. Every one of us that is here on Earth. I'm not sure about what the deal is with different planes, or someone else might have a view on that. But on Earth, the reason why we are, from what I have known to be true, are all given guides is because Earth is one of the toughest places to come as a soul. McDreamy's guidance was spot on. Oh, Kaya, so good to hear that. Kaya, if for anyone who's wondering, has had a reading with me, and she's referring to her spirit guide that came through in that particular reading. So it's really nice to hear that feedback. Thank you. Hi, Marceline. I don't know if I'm supposed to say. So nice to see you on. So the reason why Earth, I guess, is tougher than, you know, if you're familiar with star seeds, or I'm not sure what everyone's beliefs are here, and I know that we're all at different spiritual levels, so I'll try not to trip out too many people. Elizabeth, your reading helped me. Oh, thank you so much, Liz. That's so nice. Thank you so much for trusting me to do it. Oh, thank you, Kaya. I loved it and could not recommend June high enough. Oh, stop, guys. Thank you. That's so nice. But there are, you know, supposedly other planets that are much kinder than Earth. The reason why Earth is hard is because it's one of the only places that I've heard of where you have a physical body that you can feel things with. You have, you know, your spirit that you have to navigate life through with that as well. You have to navigate life feeling things emotionally. So like having feelings, which, you know, not other, you know, realms or other places where you might incarnate, you don't necessarily have, you know, to feel these emotions like jealousy or hate or dread, I don't know, what are other bad emotions that you can have. And we also have our brain, so our analytical side, coming in and piping in and trying to protect us and making that, harder for us as well. So Earth is a hard place to navigate. So if you are here, you're on Earth, which we all are, then you're a tough soul to come down here and navigate it. And the deal was, if you're going to come down to Earth, you're going to get these spirit guides that are going to help you navigate, through Earth as well, through Earth School. And from what I know, we usually have anywhere between 5 to 8, and that's just not a set number or anything. It can interchange, and depending on what part of life you're in, you might have more. There are some people that I do readings for, and there are some people I have seen rows and rows, and that doesn't mean that person is any more, special. It just might mean that they're an old soul. Maybe they've incarnated many times before, so they've gathered people, or maybe it could be to do with what part of life they're going through and what they're navigating at the moment. So they might need, those extra guides, that extra bit of help in there. Lost my train of thought now. So I guess like the amount that you have can change and swap around at any given time. You were born, as far as I know, you said I had 3. Yes. Okay. So Megan, you were one of the ones with a big spiritual team behind you. Hi, Louie. So nice to see you on too. Yeah, Megan, you were one of the ones. I don't like to bring up anyone's readings without their permission. So if you bring it up first, that's like giving me permission to speak about it. But I purposely, there's a couple of examples that I use in, I'm going to use in tonight's live, and I'll ask for their permission first, because I don't want to talk about, like anyone's guides without them giving their permission first, just in case they don't want, we're telling everyone about their guides. So as far as I know, we have our guide that we are born with. We have I think it's called your master guide, who is your guide from birth and will stay with you right until the end. So they are with you from before birth, right until we pass away. And then you have your gatekeeper, who is the guide that keeps all the, low vibing, negative, energies out. Well, they try to. They make sure that messages that you're receiving are from, spirit guides only, or, maybe passed away loved ones that we want to hear from, or angels, or anything vibing high. Your gatekeeper we also have from birth, and they are there to kind of keep the heebie-jeebies out. And I explain it to, when I do readings, and I try to explain it to people at the beginning who don't know much about guides, that I feel like my gatekeeper is, when you're in one of those bad situations and you just have that gut feeling like, I shouldn't be here. Like, I feel like something bad's going to happen. You might have that gut feeling like I need to move or get out of here. A lot of the time I feel like, that's your gatekeeper, mainly, probably all your other guides as well, saying, leave from there. Oh, hi, Becky. It's so nice to see you on as well. And there are different guides, who interchange and come in at different parts of your life. The other ones sort of move around, and I don't know, they might be with you for 3 months, they might be with you for 6 months, they might be with you for 10 years, depending on what you need them for that particular time in your life, to help you navigate through that particular thing. And I'll give examples to make it a little bit clearer. But from what I see in my readings, when I start tuning in, sometimes a guide will be there. I'll close my eyes and I'll see them pop up straight away. And sometimes I'll start to receive the messages first, and then I'll say, okay, who's there? Show me who I'm speaking to. And I will see them then. And it might take a little while sometimes for them to come through. Sometimes, the messages, they want to get them across first before they actually show who it is. And this has, this is not like scared people, but some people are blown away a little bit by the fact that your guides are not always in human form. And I very much find that when I do readings for people, if you're very new into spirituality, this is your first reading, a guide that is going to creep you out is probably not going to pop through. Usually the guide that will show themselves is one that you can handle and get your head around. Because I remember when I first started this, you know, it is spiritual journey, or really getting into it, I remember being afraid, like, you know, because if you guys know Tracy Lee, who's in this group, she's a white witch, she's one of the spiritual mentors in this group, and some of her spirit guides are dragons. And I remember when I first started on this spiritual journey and first started meditating and seeing things and being like, if I close my eyes and I see dragons, I cannot handle life. Oh, you're here. I'm talking about your dragons, Tracy. And yeah, I was like, I can't see anything like that because that's just going to freak me out and I'm going to shut it down. So I feel like when I first started connecting with my guides, they were very gentle. And the first guide that I actually saw was a passed over loved one from my dad's side who I'd never met, but he spoke about all the time. And I felt like I knew what he looks like because of photos that my dad had showed me, and I knew his name obviously, and I felt like that was the perfect intro, you know, like friendly person, amazing, who's passed, who's here. I wasn't ready for the scary, not scary things, but the different things at that stage. But as I've sort of got deeper into it, I'm okay now with maybe seeing a galactic being who sometimes come through, or I've got this, at the moment, I've got this Buddha looking thing, which is not Buddha, but I'm not really quite sure what it is. I need to do some research on it that, you know, comes in and is communicating with me at the moment. But other, you know, guides who I've seen, so animals, your spirit guide, one of them might be an animal who comes through. I usually connect with, clearly with just the one. Occasionally I might connect with two. Sometimes I see like the rows or the shadows, but I don't very clearly see usually more than one or two. It's usually one or two that come through and start saying the messages. But people, for example, spirit guides who I've seen that have come through, they will appear to you with what you can handle. Yep. And what makes sense to you. That's exactly right, Tracy. And that is something that I didn't know until I started doing these readings and actually realized, depending on what, you know, part of the journey, on how open you are, is kind of like who will turn up for you. So some people have animals. Emma, who was just on before, she did have an animal. So I have also had people whose guides have come up who have been foxes or a black panther. And these particular guides are there. For example, the panther was here to bring strength, because this person who I was doing a reading for was having a particular hard time in their lives, and the panther was like bringing that strength, but also saying it's okay to rest, because you know how a panther kind of sits in the tree and kind of sits there, and you know it kept sort of like wagging its little tail. The fox who I saw was someone's gatekeeper, so I very rarely get someone's gatekeeper sort of show themselves to me, but I've had one gatekeeper this whole entire time in my readings, which was a fox. And this person has since said that they've, you know, been meditating and seen the fox pop up, and that playful energy, that gatekeeper. So it's really cool, because once we sort of introduce the connection, sometimes the people are able to continue that connection with that particular guide and call them in, you know, when they need strength. For example, this person has started calling in their Black Panther. Or I've actually been finding other really, you know, amazing things that when a guide has shown itself to me, the person is already aware of that guide, and it's just like an amazing confirmation for them. So with the tiger, for example, the person straight away was like, I know that guide. I have seen that guide before, popped up, you know, the first time a few years ago, and straight away they knew that, or they had that connection. And it just is, you know, amazing confirmation for me as well, because sometimes I think, oh my goodness, like where am I pulling these things from? But you might have a spirit guide that might be a grandmother, or someone that's passed over, a loved one that has stuck around to sort of help guide you through this particular stage in your life as well. Hi Kasha, nice to see you on. Yep, no worries, that's completely fine. And you know, a lot of the time when I find they're passed over people, they might be people that person really didn't even know. So for example, I've had grandmothers that have come through that who, you know, is guiding you in this part of your life, but that person didn't know that grandmother. You know, maybe they died when they were 1 or 2, but the grandmother's obviously stuck around to help you. And often I get the message is that, you know, you don't know me, but I know you, because they've been with you this whole entire time and sticking around to help you. So a lot of the times when I get passed over loved ones, it's because the person, like me when I first started, is not ready to hear about, you know, a tiger or a fox, or, you know, something else. Sometimes they're people that have passed over. Can loved ones who have recently passed become guides? As far as I'm aware, yes. Yep. A lot of the time, from what I've heard, I haven't experienced that yet myself, Kelly, in readings, but from what I've heard, usually when they have just passed over, they go through like a life review, and like a healing. So I guess it depends on how long they spend sort of doing that life review and healing, and as to whether they would then be popped in as one of your guides. That might be a question for someone who does mediumship. If anyone is on live who does mediumship, go ahead and answer that question. Yeah, if I find out for you, Kelly, I'll come back to you and, you know, inbox you and let you know. That is a really good question. I would love to know that too, actually. Sometimes you can have guides that you have been with I've found from a previous life. So I actually had one guide for someone in particular come through, whose sometimes names come through, not always. His name was Isaiah, and he was someone who I saw coming through with like a white Egyptian looking thing on his head with blue bits around the edge, and I could see it really clearly, like what he was wearing. And I used the pendulum to sort of confirm and deny questions that I might have, like did you know this person that I'm reading for in this lifetime? No. My pendulum does a circle for no. Did you know this person, you know, in a previous lifetime? And then a yes came through. And, you know, a lot of the time I get the feeling, you know, this person was actually in a relationship with you, and, you know, they have incarnated a few times, but they've come back and they're helping you through this lifetime now. They've stuck around to help you. And it's crazy because this Isaiah, so one of the guides that lucky enough to have the name who came through, I could not for the life of me recognize what this particular hat or headwear he was wearing. I didn't recognize it, but the person who I was reading for straight away was like, I feel a connection. I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. It's this civilization, you know, from around about the time of the ancient Egyptians. And I actually watched a documentary on it once, and I felt a connection to this particular, you know, lifetime or this particular culture, and I just instantly clicked with it. And it was absolutely crazy because then obviously after the reading we're Googling and finding that the person who I did a reading for was exactly right as to where this white headdress with the blue came from. And it was like this you know, ancient place around Egypt somewhere. I don't even remember because it wasn't my particular guide. But it's just crazy how these things are confirmed afterwards. And this person knew straight away that where this lifetime was from, because that person felt a connection to that lifetime and knew the headwear, and it was just familiar to him. So crazy because it didn't make any sense to me, but straight away that person knew. So it's amazing how sometimes you make the connection, but if you don't, it doesn't matter, because you don't always, sometimes a lot of the time they don't as well. There's also a pretty cool story of another lady who I was doing a reading for. Sumerian. Thank you, Dom. Sorry, I did not want I didn't know if you wanted to be named, but yeah, because I don't like to talk about with permission. I know you said you gave me permission to mention Isaiah, but I didn't, you know if you wanted me to elaborate. So Sumerian is the civilization that Isaiah was from, and if you look it up, you'll find the little blue headwear with the white headwear with the blue trimming on it. And yeah, so I've never heard of Sumerians until after I did that reading for Dom, and I yeah, we looked it up and we found it, and he knew straight away. So it's just, you know, it's crazy and amazing. Sometimes things like magical beings. So I, for example, have got one fairy in particular. Her name is Aria, And oh, thank you, Kirsten. Yeah, it's happened quite a few times now. I've done research and then like found these things to be true, which is just insane. And like, it blows my mind. This is really why I wanted to share. It just literally blows my mind all the time. And I'm still like, whoa, this is crazy. I completely just forgotten what I was. Oh, fairies I was talking about. So some people have fairies, and fairies are awesome. They bring through that really playful energy, and a lot of the time fairies are connected to healers because they have this healing energy. Elves, sometimes I'm not entirely sure what they are. They might have like the pointy ears and a nice crown. Yes, Megan, you do have a fairy. I was going to mention you, but I didn't know if you wanted it to be mentioned because you're a healer, Megan. So fairy, you know, is perfect for you. The fairy Aria that I have, actually, she was to bring playful energy, because when I was sort of getting deeper into this spirituality thing, and because I'm also quite an analytical, organized person, some of the stuff I was like, this is intense, this is crazy. And Aya would come in and just to remind me to keep it playful, to keep it fun, because I find this stuff fun. And when I was thinking too seriously or too deep into it, it was like I was losing it. You think I have an angel? That's amazing, Kirsten. I'm sure you do. You know what? I have not had an angel yet, I do believe. I've had a goddess pop in someone's reading, and I've had galactic beings like Arcturian healers, which again I was not quite familiar with, but I kept seeing the name Arcturian, and then after the reading again researched it, and we found how all these things like go together. But that is amazing, Kirsten. That's really cool. And Aria pops in, yeah, to let me know to, you know, take it easy, take it light, keep it real. She's kind of like my grounding. Oh, that would be amazing, Kirsten. I'd be so honored, yeah, to read you. But you never know who's going to come through. You've got, you know, many there. So it depends on who is, you know, leading the charge on that particular day. In regards to Aria, it's actually pretty crazy that a couple of people have actually mentioned, because when you first book in for a reading, I send my guides and say, okay, so-and-so's booked in for a reading. Go and connect with whoever it is that is, you know, having a reading within the next couple of days, and start bringing me information. It's almost, sometimes it's instantly when I'll think about your name and I'll start getting little downloads of things from you. And if you're quite intuitive, I've actually had 2 or 3 people now who are like, I'm pretty sure that I was tapping into Aria. So since I booked in the reading, I had someone say, since I booked a reading in with you, I've had like this, so she wears pink and purple, everything, tutus, fairy-like, you know, energy coming up in my meditations or in my dreams. So Aria has been making herself known in like other people's spaces when they've booked in, which again is something that completely just blown my mind. Megan, maybe the fairies why I laugh at my own jokes when I do readings. Yes, and that wouldn't surprise me. I laugh at my own jokes too, and my husband thinks it's really funny how hard I laugh at my own jokes. Like, it's embarrassing. Yeah. In regards to sometimes, when I was saying that sometimes people know these guides, I actually had a reading for a very lovely, beautiful lady who, some people speak a lot like during the readings, and some people just take it all in. And I think that's me. Like when I receive readings from other people, I take it all in, and because you know, I'm like, okay, I've got an hour with this person, I'm going to make the most of it. I'm not going to speak. I'm just going to let them do all the speaking. And I had this one lady who, I was talking about, oh, okay, so this Asian woman has come through immediately for you, and doesn't look quite human, but I know that she's of, you know, Asian background, blah, blah, blah. And I'm talking about this Asian lady, and she was just sitting there quietly, and I was like, oh, okay, so she doesn't connect with that. That's fine. Sometimes not everyone connects with it. And I kept going on, and then she really didn't say much for the first probably like 30 minutes. And I was like losing confidence. Maybe I'm on the wrong, you know, maybe I'm on the completely wrong track here. I have no idea. and a mountain, I kept seeing a mountain come up, and I was just like, okay, there's a mountain and there's a mountain here. It's, you know, got like a big gorge or whatever it is that you call it. I'm really bad with like scenery and flowers and things. Like I always seem to be shown flowers or things that I don't know the names of. And I kept going on, and I was like, no, she's got no idea what I'm talking about. I'm like, do you live near a mountain? Do you go for walks at the mountain? There's a mountain that kind of looks like the Grand Canyon. And I keep seeing it, and I was just ready to move on, and she said, hey, can I say something? Can I tell you something? And I was like, yes, please. And she said about a month ago, she did this big walk, a huge mountain. It's this lady was from overseas, Mount something, I can't even remember the name of it. I did this huge walk, and the mountain is, you know, massive, and it looks like the Grand Canyon. So I was like, oh, that's what she's talking about. She went on the, you know, finally that makes some sense. And she was saying that when she made it to the top of that mountain, she connected with this guide for the first time, which was of the Asian heritage. You know, hybrid is what she called it, and that's probably what she was. She's like a hybrid type woman or galactic being, unsure. But yeah, it all made sense. I was like, oh my goodness. So she did connect with the Asian woman and spirit, and the spirit was just that confirmation that she connected with her at the top of that mountain. So that's why I was seeing the mountain, and literally I felt like such relief after that, and then realizing I was on the right track really, really helped. But that was like, yeah, one of my favorite stories as well. In regards to, you know, just knowing that these guides are always there, and sometimes we have connected with them, and if we haven't, then, you know, that's completely fine. You can start now if you want to, if you feel called to. And I really feel that for a lot of people who it's their first time getting a reading, and they sort of get that little taste of what it's like to connect, it's like a snowball, you know. After that, they're like, oh my gosh, I've got to get into this spirituality thing. I've got to know more. Yes. So while I'm talking about that, I also have a it's a mini program. It's called The Garden's Gate, and it's 5 weeks, and it's basically starts August 30th. But if anyone's interested, feel free to message me or communitycollabs.com/shop in the programs there, and it's touching on all the basics of spirituality, just things that people want to get into, know more about meditation, card readings. We're talking about spiritual protection, connecting with your guides, all those types of things in detail. A little bit more into it. I don't want to keep you guys here, you know, for a really long time. So I don't want to go right into all of that now. But why these guides come through is that they are here to help you at this particular, you know, like stage in your life. So there was, for example, another guide who somebody had, which was a nurse. So a nurse from, I think, around the 1700s. And when I used my little pendulum thingy, it came up that she didn't actually know this nurse at all from a previous life. The nurse was showing up in her reading because she was here to help this client, who is actually a very creative client that I have, who isn't using her creative gifts. And so this person didn't know which would be the next step, or even how to start, you know, using her creative gifts. And this nurse that came through, which again, afterwards we did the research, you know, as to the era, if I was correct as to what era she was from by just looking at the uniforms, and it was like spot on. But this nurse dedicated her life to, like, you know, helping other people and doing things that she didn't really want to do, but she worked as a nurse, but she really was like a budding artist, or like want to be artist, and never ended up fulfilling her dreams. And, you know, ended up what she was saying was when she passed away, her biggest regret was not doing more things that light her up or make her feel good inside, or, you know, make her feel content or fulfilled, and she was here to make sure that my client didn't do the same thing with her life, because she was kind of in a similar place where she was, you know, working in her everyday job day to day, but not really doing anything for herself, as a lot of people do who are a mother, you know, or a parent, and just, you know, selflessly serving others, which is great, but you also need to take care of yourself too. And that's kind of what this nurse was coming in for, was like, this happened to me and I'm not going to let it happen to you. So I'm going to help you, you know, have the drive to get more into your creativity. And so that was actually the first time that I found a guide who was almost like part of their learning journey as well as a spirit, and was to help somebody else to not make the same mistakes that they have. So that was the first time I sort of encountered, you know, a guide like that. And yes, they sort of, I guess, if there's anyone has any comments, I actually haven't seen any comments for a while, so I don't know if you've said anything. Sorry. I can't see anything at this stage, and if not, that's totally fine. I'm just yabbering on here. But yeah, so that's, I guess, how particular guides help you in this particular, you know, part of your life. And for example, the tiger that came through, the tiger for that particular person was like a shapeshifter. She was a she, and could like shapeshift into this beautiful woman, and then she was a tiger, and she was bringing through this strong, feminine, sleek, powerful, but spiritual energy, what this person needed exactly at this particular time in their life. She was bringing, like, you know how a tiger is so fast and to jump into action, and that's what she was bringing through for the person as well, to help this person, you know, like reach her goals. And yes, I also wanted to say why connecting with them helps, I suppose, is that it helps because if you're feeling lost or you're unsure as to like which direction to go in, it's like they'll give you the next step. And most of the time, like in my readings at least, they don't necessarily show you the whole entire big picture of where they believe you can get to. Sometimes they do, but if that's something that's going to scare you or freak you out, they won't. They'll just tell you the next step, and then it's up to you to kind of use your intuition and follow the breadcrumbs from there and go along. Because one of my friends said, one of my clients, some of my clients are friends, said, I just want to know like everything now. But the thing is, if they say you're going to be standing on a stage, you know, teaching an art class, I see you doing this, you know, in you know, 5 or 10 years, that might scare the absolute crap out of you right now, because you haven't grown to that particular point yet. So they'll only tell you things because we always set the intention, you know, tell them the things that they're ready to hear. If they're not ready to hear that yet, they're just giving the next tiny step, which was like, do something creative, you know, start a pottery class, or do this or do that, and then that will ignite from there, and you'll get better at listening to your intuition. Because once you realize which are the messages from your guides and which is your own head, you know, like piping in, it's like you take that step, you take that leap, and each time you're like, okay, I'm going to go with what feels scary, but it also feels or excites me. If you ever don't know what step to take, whatever really excites you, feels really good in your gut. And this comes up in my readings all the time, messages from guides, is if you don't know which is the next step, pick the thing that excites you the most, because that's not an accident that it excites you. Even if it's scary, it's going to help you to grow. And the reason why you're excited by this particular thing is because that is your reason or your purpose for being here. And we have our own internal navigation system, which sometimes we forget how to listen to it. Kerry, I'm just taking everything in that you're saying. Good to know that the comments are working. Thank you, Kerry. So for anyone that is feeling afraid or nervous about booking in, whether it's with me or with anybody else that's in this amazing group, I have had people nervous thinking that, you know, you're going to be told something bad. Your guides, from my point of view, because I set that intention, nothing scary or negative has ever come through. In fact, I feel like you leave on like a high, just feeling so happy because you finally seen what they have seen in you all along, which is how amazing you are and everything that you are capable of. If you need that hit of self-love, of that confidence, a reading is a place to go. And that's exactly like, even when I get readings as well, and people are like, if you're intuitive, why would you get a reading? It's because everyone's gift is different. It's just because someone has been, you know, in spirituality for longer doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, their gifts are better than this person, because every person is different, everyone's gifts are different, and the way they see things and perceive things for you are different. So go with whoever you're drawn to, because you'll know who's for you. You'll know who you click with. Emma, 100%. Thank you, Emma. You'll know who you click with. You'll know, where you feel drawn. So most people come out feeling really, really happy, just so excited about life again. And I know when I come out of a reading, I know that if I'm read for somebody else, I know that I'm doing the right thing, because it feels so good for me and so exciting. And I just feel so happy and content. And the same as when I come out of other people's readings, I walk out of there and I'm like, I actually have a purpose and a redirection. When your head feels all muddled and like, oh my gosh, I have no idea, my head is getting in the way of my actual intuition, it just helps to unmuddle things and make you realize that you've probably been hearing their messages all along. I can't tell you, it's almost in every single reading where the person goes, I already knew that I should be doing that, or I have been getting that inkling. Oh, that's so funny because I've been wanting to do that. And so you have already been hearing their messages, which is something that most people just don't believe in themselves enough. You have been hearing them, but sometimes you just need to hear it from somebody else to get that confirmation, to actually make you believe in yourself that you are doing it. You are actually hearing what they're saying. I'm getting low in battery, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up soon. I've only got 20% left. A lot of the time people don't realize or they underestimate themselves on how amazing they are. People often get really emotional in their readings because when they hear from their guide's point of view, like someone who I read recently, she works with younger children who have autism, and she helps them, you know, to come out and be a little bit more social and learn to regulate their feelings and things. And the way her guides described what her work is, which was like a huge ripple effect, like she nurtures them, she gives them, you know, the love, and then they go home and it helps to make their parents' lives easier, and then their parents are happier, and then it's like a ripple effect. Their parents, you know, are better partners, they're better parents, they're better friends, and it just ripples on. And she was like bawling by the end of it because she didn't realize that what she did was just that amazing. And it's just so nice to hear from their point of view how beautiful you are. And it's actually something that came through this morning, you know, when you're in that kind of a half asleep, half awake state. And I actually heard, if only people, you know, love themselves the way we love you. And I was like, okay, that's really great, but like, why are you telling me that? And it's only just come through now. I think it's been meant to say in this live now. And that's a message that they probably wanted me to pass on. So true. It's so uplifting to be read by another. Completely, Megan. Liz, I found my passion and my path. I love my reading by you, June. Oh, thank you, Liz. Thank you. That really means a lot. Not just me, it's them. It's your guide, who I won't say who it was either, unless you want to share who your particular guide was, because that was pretty cool too. Okay, let's see what else I've got here. I've got a couple of notes and I can't remember what else I'm talking about. I think I went off on a tangent, but like I said, I'm gonna have to wrap it up because my battery is low. Okay, so if you want to start connecting on your own, how do you? So if you feel like you have no idea where to start, the hardest thing to overcome first is the self-doubt, is to throw that away and just actually start believing that, you know, things or messages that you're getting are real. That was one of the hardest things for me. If you get little messages, and I think I already spoke about, you know, getting that excitement about certain things that pop up, just go ahead and give it a go. If it's not something, you know, that's like overly huge, give it a go, give it a try and see what happens. And once you start doing it, you'll start to see that most of the time these messages or these things that make you excited or light you up, they will work out. And once you start small with these little things like connecting with them, maybe by meditating, or if meditating is not your thing, going outside, getting in nature, going for a walk, automatic writing can help. Once you get into it more and you've started with small questions, because the big questions coming in straight with those, when you haven't made that connection yet, it doesn't really work. Start with easy things. Like which way should I go? You know, like following your intuition or asking your guides, should I go left or should I go right on this walk? What am I going to like better? And then go with that first initial thought. But once that connection starts building, you'll find that you can get a little bit deeper, and you'll start to also recognize what are messages from your guides or what are your own thoughts. Oh, that wasn't a comment, that was just Peggy popping on. Emma, can you please elaborate on automatic writing? Of course. Sorry, I am just saying these things assuming that everyone knows what they are. So with automatic writing, you can either do it one of two ways. You can either, if you know how to meditate, get yourself into a deep meditation, or what they would call theta state. So usually that's around 15 minutes of meditating. Some people are a lot quicker to get into that deep state. Open your eyes and just start writing before you start coming back to. And a lot of the time when you first start writing, you're like, what am I talking about? What am I writing? You can even write that. I don't know what I'm writing. I don't know what I'm doing. I often start things like that. And then as you continue to write, things start to get deeper because your conscious mind falls away. And sometimes you find you keep writing, and it's almost like you have forgotten. You look back and you're like, whoa, I've written like 3 pages and I don't even know what I've written in that. And when you read it back, it's sometimes like, it's clearly messages from your guides or from, you know, your angels, whoever's there, because you don't even remember writing that. And these are profound things sometimes that you would never speak that way sometimes. Sometimes my writing changes when I've done automatic writing. And there are many messages. Like the first time I was told to do readings, like you need to start doing readings now, was through automatic writing. And I was like, that's like, you know, maybe that's just me throwing it in there because I wasn't, you know, trusting in myself. But you can get some amazing revelations through automatic writing because your guides can like pour through you. And once you're, you know, you're busy or, you know, your analytical brain falls away, the messages have time to come through. You get into that zone. If you're not good at meditating, you can literally just start writing and you'll find that your brain, kind of analytical brain, turns off, and that's when, you know, things will start to come through. And it's not always straight away. It might take you a little while. And automatic writing isn't for everybody, but that is what I do a lot of the time before I go into your readings is automatic write whatever has started to come through for you. And it's crazy because the way that they word things, because I believe it's then your guides that are talking through my guides, makes sense to you or relate to you, but it's not the way I would speak. So so it's crazy how those things come through as well. That's so cool. I'm definitely going to give it a try. Amazing. That's so cool, Emma. You'll have to let me know how you go. It's one of my favorite things to do, or one of my favorite ways to connect. Other ways you can connect with them is, for me, what has been actually my biggest love, or my biggest way that I have developed, I feel, more quickly, and my biggest way to develop that trust that I do actually know, like it is real, what's coming through, is oracle cards, tarot cards, because you might have this thought about something. So when I do a reading for somebody, I absolutely love it because I do the download first and see what comes through. And then I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Like things coming up about a new lover, or things are coming up about, yes, this new lover is going to come, but as soon as you give yourself the right type of self-love, blah, 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 I'll have that come through. And then I'll pull the cards and it will literally be self-love card, lovers card. And I'm like, see, it's just that confirmation in human form. If you're like me and you sometimes rely too much on your analytical brain, cards or divination tools Oracle cards, tarot cards are that perfect way to start building that trust and that connection with your guides. It's been a huge help for me. And even start doing them for yourself and be like, you know what do I need to know today? What do I feel today? And pull the cards out and, you know, or what have those messages that I've been receiving, you know, am I on point? And see what comes through, and you'll know the cards are just amazing if you need to have that physical proof. I use a pendulum as well, but there is a live in here about how to use a pendulum. Yep, if anyone wants it, I can tag you in that, because I won't go too deep into that, because that's not quite as straightforward as Oracle cards or tarot cards. Yeah, I guess though that, the other thing that I wanted to mention before I leave is just to be open about the way that you receive messages, because just because I receive messages in some way doesn't mean it's going to be the same way that you receive them. Psychic senses is something that I've spoken about in here before. It's another video that's in here. Also something that I, in my upcoming program, is your psychic senses and how to strengthen them. Everyone's senses are different. Some people have, you know, stronger sight or clairvoyance. Some people have stronger hearing. Be open to the way that you receive your messages from your guides, because it's going to be different for everyone. I see things in metaphors when I get messages from my guides a lot of the time. Like, for example, a metaphor that they would show me for once they start something, it's going to like take off and be huge, would be like, I sometimes see dominoes and they go, the first one bangs and then they all fall over. And for me, when I see that, I know that I have to tell the person that once you start this thing, it's going to take off. And I've learned how to interpret the way that they, you know, send their messages across. So it's not, when you are hearing from your guides, it's not necessarily like a voice in your ear. It might be for some people. A lot of the time it's in your own thoughts and you think that it's yourself. I did for such a long time just think it was myself, but it was actually messages that I was receiving. I just thought that I was so smart and coming up with all these amazing ideas for my business on my own. It was actually not me. It was my guides, you know, feeding me these things, and I didn't realize I was acting on them. But I didn't realize that it wasn't me for such a long time until, you know, I started to understand a little bit more about psychic senses. What have we got here? Kelly, my analytical brain is my biggest barrier, to connect with my guides. And that is so common for so many people, Kelly, but it gets better. And I am proof. I am such an organized, I don't like to say the word anal, but it's probably the best way to describe myself. And organized, like some people have said, like OCD, organized person, and that was one of my big things. If I can do it, you can do it. Carrie, I started using my cards today for the first time in years. That's awesome. Oh, I love cards. They're so amazing. But that is probably the last thing that I have to say about, you know, getting in touch with them, is just being really open to how you receive these messages. And once you start you know, acting on little things that might pop up, and once you start trusting, you'll just do it again and again and again, and your connection and your intuition becomes stronger, and the way you receive the messages becomes stronger. When I first started seeing things, clairvoyance, it was like little flashes in meditation, and now I can see like a whole movie play out. So they'll just get stronger as you go. You just have to begin. But anyway, if anyone doesn't have any questions, thanks, Kat, I am gonna let you all go to sleep. If anyone would like a reading with me, you can go to communitycollabs.com/shop and just click on the readings part, and you can see the readings in there. There's a 40-minute one, which is $66, and a 1-hour one, which is $88. They both will connecting with you guys either way, but there's just a little bit more time in the 1-hour one for more messages to come through, more cards to get. Thank you, Liz. I hope this has been helpful in some way. When I ask my questions, I see yes and no in my mind, but I'm not sure if that's me or my guides. Oh my gosh, it's your guides, Kelsey. See, just start trusting, because when you start shutting it down, it's almost like your guides get a little bit disappointed. So when you get a message and you receive it, just go with it and trust it, because when you don't go with it, they get a little bit disappointed, and it's almost like that connection wavers a little. So just go with it, trust it. what was I going to say? And when you do get something and you receive it, gratitude and saying thank you. Not that they have an ego, but they love the vibration of gratitude. It's one of the highest, you know, vibrations you can get, and they get really excited and they're like, okay, she got it. I'm going to give her more. I'm going to give her more because she's understanding it. She's getting it. And it just, you know, the dominoes, it just continues on from there. If you're interested in my program as well, that's under programs in communitycollabs.com/shop, or feel free to just message me. It's $222 for 5 weeks. And we go into all the things. What do we go into? I don't even remember everything. We go into intuition, spiritual protection, psychic senses, meditation, connecting, and spiritual tools. So cards, pendulum, crystals, sacred spaces. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Nicole. Awesome info. Thanks, Sandra. So good to see you on as well. Thank you so much for everyone who tuned in. I hope you have an amazing night. And if anyone has any questions that they don't feel comfortable putting in a public forum, I am quite happy for you to inbox me as well. Have an amazing night, everybody. Thank you so much again. Super grateful. Bye.